All right, friends, welcome into part 2 of our Writer's Workshop activity for today. We just went through and annotated the body paragraph. Now, normally, if this were an actual all-out on-demand, you all know we would have 2 body paragraphs, but I decided that we were just going to annotate the 1 body paragraph today because the format for the body paragraphs is the same. You have your transition word, your topic sentence, E1, E2, internal transition, E1, E2, and the concluding sentence. So again, make sure that you've underlined everything with the correct colors, and we're going to move on to the counter argument. So after you have your first 2 body paragraphs, you're going to write a counter argument paragraph, and the job of the counter argument is to take an opposite viewpoint from your own and prove it wrong. So if you remember from the first video, I chose to argue that bringing back extinct animals is a bad idea. So for my counter argument, I have to think about if someone were going to argue that it is actually a good idea to bring back extinct animals, what would their reasoning be? And then how can I prove that wrong? The counter argument starts with the opposing argument. So you're going to introduce the opposite side. So for that, I stated, some argue extinct animals should be brought back because it would be an exciting learning opportunity. As you can see over here from our key, we're going to underline that sentence in gray. After you introduce the opposing argument, you're going to give your counter argument, which is the statement that you are making to prove the other side wrong. So I stated, in reality, it would be much more beneficial to focus on protecting current endangered animals than to promote de-extinction. So yes, even though it might be exciting to learn about these extinct animals, in reality, it would actually be much better to protect the animals that are currently living on our earth. I know that this and the red kind of look similar, but the counter argument is actually going to be underlined in pink. The rest of the paragraph is set up just like the body paragraph. So we're going to have an E1 and E2, an internal transition, an E1 and E2, and a concluding sentence. So for this, I put in the text, it says, today, thousands of creatures are becoming extinct, from tigers and gorillas to rhinos and elephants. So just like in our previous body paragraph, I have a good sentence starter, I have my quotation marks, and I cited directly from the text. Make sure you underline that sentence in blue. Then I get into my E2 where I'm explaining my evidence. Remember, E2 should be at least 2 sentences. So I put, this evidence demonstrates the importance of protecting currently living animals. Imagine a world without these unique creatures. Scientists should focus on protecting our future instead of bringing back the past. So I have my E1, my E2. Now I'm going to provide an internal transition. This time I used additionally, which you are underlining in red. The passage states, scientists estimate dozens of species disappear every day. Now my E2, this statistic is alarming. Our world is losing unique and majestic animals every day. And then my concluding sentence, which just wraps up my paragraph, says, shouldn't scientists focus their efforts on protecting these species? So again, this is just like a body paragraph. The only difference is we start with the opposing argument and then we give our counter argument. Remember, this is a video. Feel free to pause if you need to so that you can annotate and underline your copy of the passage. So after we have our introduction, our 2 body paragraphs, our counter argument, the last paragraph of the essay is the conclusion paragraph. The conclusion paragraph is always going to start with a transition, which we are underlining in the color red. And the transition that I always like to end with is in conclusion. Those 2 words let our audience know that we are wrapping things up. And then we restate our thesis. So literally what I did was took the thesis statement from the introduction paragraph and I just copied and pasted it. So it says the same thing that we put in the introduction paragraph. Scientists should not bring back extinct animals because it would cause the animals to have a low quality of life and would be dangerous to society. And we're underlining that in pink. Then in the conclusion paragraph, you're going to refer back to the introduction in some way. Some ways you could do that would be if you asked a question as your hook, you could answer that question in your conclusion paragraph or just refer back to some aspect of the introduction. So mine says, men are not meant to play God and should not pursue de-extinction. If I go back up to the introduction paragraph, that was something that I mentioned right here where it says, they say de-extinction allows humans to play God. So I brought up that again by saying men are not meant to play God. Then you're always going to end with your audience giving them something to think about. I like to ask a question at the end of my essay, but just keep in mind that this question should not be the same as your hook at the beginning. I put, don't you agree we should focus on our future rather than our past? That's my closing thought, and you're going to underline that in the color green. Once again, I'm going to remind you that your colors on your paper should match the colors that are on this video today. And once you've completed that, you are done with your writer's workshop for today.